Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday. That means it's time for the Wrestling Inc. Monday Night Raw after show. And have we got a show for you? Akira got a huge win. The women's tag team division was on display, and Jinder got hindered. But before we get into all of that, let me introduce the crew. I'm Jack Farmer, being joined by Jimmy Korderas and Spar with LaBar's Justin LaBar. But I guess you got your own show now. I gotta shout out your show, not Spar with LaBar anymore, Justin.
Well, now it's no longer it's just one segment of Spar with LaBar. It's an entire 3 hours of Busted Open. That's right, Busted Open now 24/7. We put the 7 in Busted Open 7 days a week. The brand new Sunday show that launched the day after Survivor Series. And so we're running strong and having a great time, myself and Jonathan Hood, 3 hours every Sunday morning. And with the amount of stuff that's going on in wrestling now on Saturdays, it's like, it's insane. It's certainly needed.
Yeah, you're the scoops guy now. You get all the big deals first and foremost.
We get to wake up Sunday and have a lot to talk about. I can tell you that.
I got to give them props too. They've been knocking it out of the park. Been enjoying. Have a reason now to get up early on Sundays.
Well,
thank you,
Jimmy. I gotta talk to you about some really big news and some really big. We got a new countdown. I'm gonna pull back the curtain a little bit, Jimmy. We had some issues with the music apparently for the old countdown. I'm gonna be honest, a little awkward, a little quiet there. First time I ever heard it. How do you feel about our new countdown?
I don't hear it.
That's what I mean. I didn't hear anything either. It was very.
So I don't know. Let
us know in the chat how you feel about our new countdown.
I'm not doubting the bosses above us, but I don't know how. But I mean, I'm not going to go into the minutia of why. You guys saw it on the text exchange, but I don't know why all of a sudden that it would be causing issues. The music, but nonetheless.
Yeah. It was. I felt like it was a little weird sitting here in silence instead of hearing because you said like the war music and it got me all pumped, and I was just like,
you know what it felt like, Jack? You know what it felt like, Jack? It felt like we were standing right behind the curtain. The house lights went out, and they said, "Okay, go ahead, make your way quickly to the ring, stand next to the referee, wait till we introduce you." We got the jobber entrance. That's what we got. We got the jobber dark entrance. No music. You're hoping everybody else is looking over here. Yeah, that's what we got.
And they were probably advertising something I don't know, but very, very uncomfortable. But there's actually a question for you, Justin, in the chat. Oh, I believe it was from Dylan Matthews. I want to get that to you. Dylan Matthews asks, is the Saturday show on podcast somewhere for international viewers, Justin?
If he's
Saturday show, I think he meant the Dylan, it's a Sunday show. He is in the future, though, so in Australia. So maybe it's Saturday for him. I don't know how that works, but
then it would be Monday for him.
Assuming
I don't know how time works.
I don't know. Assuming he's referring to Busted Open, yes, Dylan. At least I can speak for most every day, and I know this past Sunday's show that I'm on, we're on 3 hours of live radio. SiriusXM only allows so many minutes of the podcast, so many minutes of the show to be put out in podcast form. So normally about 40 minutes of the best of that day's episode is put out in podcast form. I'm speaking American Standard Eastern Time. If we wrap up the show at noon Eastern, normally the podcast is out by, I'd say, 3 in the afternoon, a couple hours later. So, yeah, you can at least get a 40-minute free dose of what we had to talk about. Or if you get the SiriusXM app on your phone, you can go back and listen to any day on demand. So you can go back and listen to Sunday, and you can track through and find, so if hey, we do the special segment in the third hour, you can fast forward to third hour or what have you. It's pretty nice.
I think Justin LaBar needs to start getting some paychecks for shilling XM radio here. But
they're taking, don't get me wrong, they're taking, the XM, Sirius XM people have been nothing but tremendous to work with, and they are taking care of me. So I cannot say any bad words about my experience so far. It's been glowing.
I'm trying to get you some more checks, Justin. always get more. But let's talk a little bit about some news that happened over the weekend. Some stuff that you got the chance to talk about already, Justin. But Jimmy, I'm going to want your thoughts on this. Of course, there were some people that go from WWE a while back, and now they are free agents, and they seem to make hay. We saw some folks show up in TNA, Nick Nemeth, and I apologize, I'm blanking on her name in TNA, but and now I'm blanking on her Dana Brooke.
Ash by Elegance.
Ash by Elegance in TNA, and then of course Jack Perry and Ali, I believe, showed up in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So lots of interesting stuff happened over the weekend with people showing up in places. But I think one of the ones that turned the most heads, Justin, was the Jack Perry sighting in New Japan Pro Wrestling, because he didn't just show up, but he ripped up his AEW contract, sort of called out Tony Khan while looking at the camera. And Bully Ray on Busted Open actually said that he should take it a step further, said he should punch Tony Khan in the face. And not only do that, but he said if you're going to punch Tony Khan in the face, you have to tell people when, where, and what time you're going to do it. I want your thoughts on all of these people showing up in different places, and particularly your coworker, Bully Ray.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Perry was certainly a big story because he had been so quiet. Nobody knows what the deal is. Last we'd heard and saw of him was the infamous backstage skirmish that happened in London that ultimately resulted in CM Punk's departure from the company. So that was kind of like the most like, whoa. And, you know, Bully Ray's suggestion is very interesting because underlining to all this is it a work? Is it a shoot? Mm-hmm. You know, New Japan Pro Wrestling has had a working relationship with AEW. So that's not out of the question to think that this is maybe a work. And if it is, I would agree with Mr. Bully on what he's suggesting, because then this would be the first time that AEW is able to take real life behind the scenes nonsense that went on and resulted in bad stuff and try to get something in the ring and make money. Now, you can't get Jack Perry and CM Punk in the ring because CM Punk's the WWE. But if you want to make Jack Perry target Tony Khan and target the company and have a babyface step in for Tony Khan and try to get some money out of this, that's great. That's assuming this is all a work. Mm-hmm. It's also possible that it's not. And Jack Perry was quietly released or what have you, and he's showing up to New Japan, and this was his way to give a big old FU to his former employer. I don't know which way it is, but they're both fascinating, but one at least would produce some money and payoff for AEW's drama and troubles.
You know, I love that you mentioned that, Justin, because for better or worse, AEW is pretty good about making you not sure what's real and what's part of the story. Again, for better or worse, because I was watching this too thinking, I have no idea if this is real or not. And Jimmy, I want to talk to you a bit about the Jack Perry situation, because I was talking to a buddy about this. And I was like, I don't know what AEW does with Jack Perry. I couldn't imagine any way you bring him back and not have this big shadow of what happened hanging over him and everything he does. But I felt like him just leaving isn't a good thing either. I don't really know what to do, but then this happens. And I feel like whether this is real, whether it's part of a story, it's like the best case scenario for everybody involved, because now AEW doesn't have to worry about that shadow hanging over things. New Japan Pro Wrestling got a very interesting new talent. And this whole way that the scapegoat thing and all this is a fascinating thing, even for Jack Perry. I feel like somehow this is perfect for them.
It is perfect. And like you said, the question is there. Is this real? Is it a work? I'm leaning, I don't know for a fact, obviously like everybody else, but I am leaning towards work, and I'm hoping it is, because if it is a work, it is done in a great way to get people interested in talking and so forth. And Bully Ray's idea of, you know, Jack Perry going out there, the scapegoat, and punching Tony Khan and getting Tony Khan involved in this. I like the idea of getting Tony Khan involved, but don't give up right away that you're going to punch him. Just say, I need to talk to Tony Khan face to face in the ring. And this Wednesday, he has agreed to meet me in the ring. And it should be not in a pre-tape segment backstage where they set something up. This should be done in front of the audience, in front of the crowd, done live and in living color, so that people can experience this and get the most out of this. That is if it is a work. If it's not a work, then hats off to Jungle Boy, former Jungle Boy,
yeah,
Jack Perry, for going into business for himself and coming up with something that is generating interest in him.
Yes.
And that's the whole idea. He has made himself a hot property.
Like an SSP Joel in the chat says, come on, Jack, you know this is a storyline. It's not real. Man, there's been a lot of things people have been saying about AEW that turned out to be very real over the course of the years. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't try to pretend I know.
SSP Joel, when the first round of stuff went down in the press conferences, and then the fight that apparently ensued after the fact between Punk and the Bucks and everybody, there was a part of the rest of it. Oh, it was one big work. It's all storyline. It's always fake.
Yeah.
We all saw what that exploded into.
Yeah, this is it could be it, but that's fascinating. That's what makes it great. Like I'm very interested in how this plays out. And I think that if it all goes well, everyone can come out looking way, way better. Because I agree to the extent of with Bully Ray, as far as, because now I want to see that conflict. I want to see that happen. If he didn't go to New Japan first and he just came out on Dynamite, it was like, I hate Tony Khan, we'd be like, whatever, guy. You know, it wouldn't have hit. But now it's like, oh, this is interesting. It got me. It hooked me. So very, very good stuff, and very good stuff for all these other wrestlers signing places. Again, I've said before, I love that there's a lot of different places people can work, because it has given so many people opportunities here. And it's just, I think it's fantastic. And it's fantastic that they're all good opportunities, you know? And so it's cool to see.
I'm thrilled for
sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'm thrilled for TNA. I thought that was a great relaunching, rebirth of the name. I thought the show felt fun. The venue felt fun. The production. I mean, and obviously the signing of Nick Nemeth and the product they gave us. I'm excited to see what their 2024 could be, because I think there's a ton of potential there for them.
Absolutely. Hats off and toast to my old buddy Scott D'Amore. Great job you're doing there, buddy.
Yeah, it's everything just feels like it's going well right now in pro wrestling. So everyone who likes wrestling, enjoy it. Just enjoy it now, because
And one little thing you said, Justin, a great signing of Nick Nemeth. I think in TNA he will get featured a lot more than he would. And this isn't a knock, again, a jab at AEW, but they're so crowded right now that with so many people that they need to present on television, that he's just on the list of guys that they have to showcase, so to speak. So him signing with TNA for now is a good move.
Well, and even in general, what I love about having, if we have like four big companies, if we say TNA and New Japan, because they have a stateside operation as well, the AEW and WWE, even if you're, what's nice is even if you're someone who is in WWE, for instance, and things have gotten kind of stale for you, like a former Dolph Ziggler now going to TNA, it gives you that opportunity to freshen up. And it goes, like Cody Rhodes being able to leave to AEW, and AEW, he got a little bit stale there. Him being able to leave and stay fresh and relevant, and having people the opportunity to move around allows people to stay fresh and allows it to stay fun. I think it's just healthy for everybody, no matter which way they move, I think.
Good for the business.
Speaking of good for business, I found that shouting people out in the chat is good for our business. So I just want to say thanks to everyone who's joined us. Bernie DC, MDB 999, Reaper Brink. That's a new name. I haven't seen in a while. Phil Capel, Baby Ice. We got Norris Sparks, Leonard Jones. Everyone. Wow, we got a lot of new names here. John Dunn. A lot of other folks have it. Stephen Camp. Good to see you all. Thanks for coming through. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Of course, Dylan Matthews, Tommy O, and everyone else. We appreciate you coming through. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and leave a comment in the in YouTube with your favorite line of the night from tonight. There's a lot of good one-liners tonight, so throw those out there. Let's talk about this episode. Let's talk about a very chilly Monday Night Raw. And I know it was cold because they said it multiple times that it was cold. Cody Rhodes comes out and he's feeling good, but Drew McIntyre comes out and he rehashes some old memories between the two, fond memories of him and Cody. Drew pumps up Cody and says Cody will finish his story, but not before Drew finishes his. Drew says that Cody needs to stop being a phony, and Drew used to be a phony, but now he's not. Cody says he's real and he's thankful, and Drew is a complainer. Things get tense between the two, and as it ends tense, Michael Cole says one of my favorite lines of the night, Many stories going into the Royal Rumble, but only one can get finished. What a great line there. I want to, Jimmy, Drew says he's going to finish his story before Cody Rhodes does, and everyone boos Drew. I mean, he's saying the exact same thing Cody did. Why is he getting booed, but Cody's getting cheered?
Because Cody is a huge babyface now, and he's over to that extent and the audience has to choose who they prefer. And at this moment right now, they're preferring Cody as opposed to Drew. And when you say a line that's like, I'm not what's best for business, I am this business. That is something more or less that a heel would kind of say. That is kind of a heelish line, so to speak. So he is walking that fine line, because we saw later on in the evening that he did, deal with some heels. So I think that's what it is. I think the people right now are choosing Cody over Drew.
Yeah.
And that's why he's getting cheered and Drew's getting booed in this situation.
Yeah, Justin, I also wrote down, I love the line, I'm not what's best for business, I am the business. Drew McIntyre has really subtly turned into an incredible character on Raw each and every week. As far as he's not really a bad guy, but he kind of is, but he's not. He's really walking that edge beautifully here.
Yeah, there's a level of realism to what he's saying and to what those who's in the ring are saying. I mean, so you just feel it. So this doesn't feel. We've seen them in the past try to have Drew go out there, ultra good guy or ultra bad guy, give him a big sword, have him do this, and it's just over the top stuff that's just kind of like, well, that's a little bit hokey, a little bit too animated. This feels real. One of the things that helped make it feel real, again, this is part of the WWE doing things a new way now, and new leadership up on the top, is they're not afraid to acknowledge that other things might happen outside of their doors, is they let Cody and Drew reference Drew's last match on the independent scene before coming back to WWE, and that match was against Cody, into which Cody's final shot to him was who won that match, and it was Cody. So that's being able to use things, use real facts like that helps push along the story. And you guys are referencing that line about the business. I'm gonna reference a line that I love again that Cody threw at Drew, which was, I relish my second chance while you complain about yours. Talking about them both coming back and having second chances in WWE. I mean, there's just so much that there's all stuff they're pulling from real. We're not making up a fake backstory. It's not like these two went to summer camp and this and that. It's not a fake backstory. We're just talking about real timelines that the entire audience has been able to follow along with. They both were in WWE. They both kind of hit a mid-card ceiling. They both were destined to be bigger stars than that, either because of their last name or because they were anointed the chosen one by Vince McMahon. They went away. They kind of had to reinvent themselves. Did that. Drew did it one way as a one-man mission. Cody changed the business, created a new company, and now they're back. And so like this just feels real because it is real. And so Drew, Drew sounds more authentic than he ever has. And quite frankly, I don't know what this contract situation is. I keep hearing that it's coming up soon for him. I don't know if he wants to, but if he does want to stay, he is making a hell of a case. It's got a hell of a bit of leverage for why he should stay and get a new contract if he in fact wants to.
I want to bring up something one of our chatters said, Dustin Ingle, Justin, to piggyback on everything you just said. All the things you just said, we just praised Drew so much here. He asks, does all the losses Drew has taken lately hurt him? I feel like they do, but here I am gushing over how great he's been.
Well, they do in the sense of, he's not beating Seth Rollins for the world title. He's not winning a world title. So like in that regard, it's like, all right, well, he's lost a lot. He's not front of the line, but that's what's kind of fun about the Rumble is that when you have all these different little subplots going on here, everybody wants to win the Rumble to go to Mania. But when Cody and Drew have this issue, and Drew and Punk have an issue, and Punk has an issue with Seth, who's the top of the mountain, and next week it looks like we're going to get Punk and Cody. When you have all these avenues, Dustin, it does allow for me to keep Drew in a serious light in that regard of like, well, Drew might not win it, but holy shit, what if he eliminates Cody?
Yeah.
Like that's not a title win on Drew, But all of a sudden, Drew McIntyre's got my attention even more so if he made a big statement like eliminating one of the other favorites. And only one person can win the Rumble. So if you got Punk and Cody and Gunther and Drew, you got all these names. Only one of them can win. That means the rest of them got to get eliminated at some point. So that's what makes this important right now for Drew.
And one little thing, if I may add, Justin, just to that point, it's a great point. So you all those points you made, but the thing is, even with all those losses, every match Drew goes into, there is that thought in the audience mind that he could win the match. Mm-hmm. There is a very distinct possibility that he's going to beat whoever he's up against, and that's the thing. Regardless of how many times he's lost previously, there's always that. You know what? There is a chance here that he may win this match.
Jeff Bailey with a great point here says you can overcome losses with story. I think is the story here, the message there. We move on to DIY versus JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio, one half of the Mysterio brothers, if you ask our truth. We get Johnny Wrestling chants during this match. Crowd's hot for it. DIY gets the win. Jimmy, I want to ask you or talk to you or get your thoughts on JD McDonough. Mm-hmm. And is he kind of becoming an under the radar MVP in the people love seeing him get beat no matter how many times he gets beat category?
Maybe to a certain extent, but at the same time, you talk about scapegoats. He's the scapegoat in this whole scenario that we're seeing with the Judgment Day. And I will say this: I did enjoy the match. I thought the match was good. One thing I did enjoy was it felt like an old school tag team match. Were there, little things that I always complain about. The rules seem to matter.
Mm-hmm.
The heels cheated in a way that got heat on them instead of the heat on somebody else that's not supposed to get the heat. But again, to your story, I think to your question, I mean, I still think that he is more or less, like I said, the scapegoat of to allow Judgment Day to take these losses and give whoever they're up against an opportunity to be elevated, so to speak.
Yeah. Justin, I've been waiting all night to ask you about this because I know they're your guys, DIY. And at first it was rough going for them, but man, they had the crowd behind them. The crowd was hot. They were chanting Johnny Wrestling. This was not we're cheering for you because we hate the other guys. This was the crowd was behind DIY.
Yeah, I had no idea that Little Rock, Arkansas was such a hotbed for DIY. Open up an office down there.
Yeah.
No, that's good. It's good for Johnny and Ciampa. And that's going to come as a result of, more consistent TV time and they've been having the issue with these guys. So yeah, good to see it. Don't know if it's going to mean I don't know if that's going to be next week in New Orleans. Don't know if it's going to be each week, but good to see it tonight. And as far as JD McDonough, he's really good at his job right now. What I fear for him, and I mean, all you can do is live in the moment now. He's healthy. He's part of the storylines now. Maximize your minutes. Live in the moment now. But the worry problem I have for him long term, if I was like his agent or something like that, would be you're there to be the guy that they're willing to let take the losses because they see a longer, bigger term future and plan for Dom, obviously, because Dom has just become. They always have, Finn's always a guy they have, they want to protect to a certain extent because at any point they can plug Finn in somewhere, babyface or heel. Priest, obviously, you figure is a future world champion the way he's called the briefcase around. Rhea, obviously. So if I'm JD, it is kind of like, well, I am the guy that just meant to lose now and be the lackey. And like I think I said last week, it feels like that we're getting to a point where they already had the day circled on the calendar for when Judgment Day is going to officially end. And once that officially ends, I worry for JD McDonough. What then? What then? But all you can do right now is you're being put on TV every week. Take advantage of it now.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so I did want to say, and Jimmy, I want to ask, this was something that happened during the show as well. And I think it was actually even kind of alluded to here by Reaper Brink, who says, crowd was great tonight for the size. Something that happened on the show, Michael Cole actually acknowledged on commentary that it was a smaller crowd due to the storm.
Mhm.
I just want your thoughts on that. Did they actually, because most of the time wrestling companies, they hide that kind of stuff as much as they can, but Cole just acknowledged it. I think he would have gotten away with it if they didn't say anything, but he said it. How do you feel about them saying, hey, this is a smaller crowd than we're used to?
I think at least they were being honest
Mm-hmm.
from that extent. But at the same time, I am a little bit. I'm actually a lot surprised that they actually mentioned it. And Michael Cole mentioned because of the weather being an issue that the crowd is not as large as it could be, or maybe some people. If he'd have said that, tickets were sold, but I don't remember the exact wording he put it. You know what I mean? The tickets were sold, but obviously because of the weather, some people couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was exactly how he put it, but if that's how he put it, then it makes sense. If he just said that the crowd is smaller because of the weather, that makes it sound like, I don't know, a little different.
I mean, the honest intent's nice, but I don't like drawing attention to it. Don't draw attention.
You don't need to.
I mean, to the average person at home, are they like, again, well, I mean, I do it. I don't know about you two, but I mean, a lot of us that are like really knee deep into this, and I every day I'm updating and seeing what the latest tickets sold is for WWE and AEW shows that week, and how many tickets are still available. I mean, that's the minutia that I live in my world. I don't think people are doing that at home where they're looking to see how many sections are blacked out. What sections of the camera purposely not like. Don't draw attention to it. Is my thought. So, but.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have, like I said, I literally wouldn't have noticed had he not said anything. I thought it was, I thought it looked like a normal crowd to me. I mean, it was dark, but sometimes that's just what they do.
Now they did have, I don't know, this has been a debate. I'm sure you guys noticed there's a few different things about the set tonight.
Yeah.
They didn't have the set was not as big for the entranceway. There were 2 lighting trusses that are in the entranceway that's not normally, and then there was 4 lighting trusses that are positioned in the crowd that were holding up the lighting rig over top the ring. Normally, those are not there for TV. Normally, all the lighting rig is all suspended from the ceiling. The setup they had tonight, I believe, is what they've been using for house shows, for live events, non-TV live events.
Yeah, so other than the big, yeah.
Right. So I don't know if that is a result of because of the building. Is the building a little bit smaller than, or is that a result of because of the weather? Could they not get? I mean, because for those that don't know, WWE travels with a ton of 18-wheelers. A ton of big trucks to transport all of that stuff. So was that an issue where they had to go smaller scale? Was it they didn't have as many stagehands again because of the weather, so they had to go for smaller scale like they would for house show? I don't know. Or we've heard there's Kevin Dunn's no longer there. They're doing new visual things. Was this a visual test to say, hey, can we pack and plan smaller and still make it look good for TV? I don't know.
Yeah, because I'd imagine if you can do smaller over the course of the year, that's a lot of money that adds up if you can not have a truck or two traveling the world. But we move on. And actually, before we move on, we got Miley with a super chat here. Asks, who wins the Women's Rumble? Bayley, Becky, Liv, or Jade? I'm assuming for fun, we can only pick between those 4. If you had to pick one, Jimmy, which one do you pick?
I think they said it. Well, we'll get to it later on, but Becky would be my pick right now.
Becky of the 4. Justin, how about you? If you had to pick one of those 4,
Becky, and I'll go the extra mile. Miley, I don't think Jade's gonna be in the Rumble.
Yeah, I think Becky would be the safe bet if I have to pick one of those 4. So we will see. And then Yes Boy, I see your comment. Let's just do it now. Yes Boy has a super chat as well. Asks, what are some of y'all's favorite movies seen in 2023? Jimmy, are you a big movie guy?
No, you know what? Lately, I haven't been a big movie guy. Hold on. I have to ask. What was the movie we saw the other day that we liked? The missus can't remember either. So
yeah.
Oh my goodness. But the series. I'll tell you that we binge watched.
In Flight.
No. Hijack.
Hijack. Oh, I haven't seen it. Is it good? It must be good.
Well, we enjoyed it. It was very interesting. Let's put it that way. And especially for someone who flew as much as I did, it's like,
oh no, it's a plane hijack. Oh no,
yeah.
I get scared flying. I'm not going to watch that. Justin, you have a good movie recommendation?
That's the thing. I'm sitting there Googling right now. I can't remember. I think 2 of them that I saw, I think they might have technically came out in 2022, but I think I saw them this past in 2023. The most recent Scream. I'm a big sucker for the Scream franchise. So the most recent one of that, Also, again, don't remember when it came out, but I saw it this past year. The movie Megan,
Oh
about
yeah.
the child who's a doll.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good. I mean, they're already making a sequel, and I'm pumped about that. I took the kids to theaters for a few things. We saw the new Trolls movie. We saw Migration a few weeks ago. So we did some kids ones. Those don't really count, but
Yeah. I can't remember the movie. I see movies all the time, but I can't really remember the ones I see, whether I saw it this year or not. But
I still need to see Iron Claw. I need to see that, and I want to see Oppenheimer. So.
Yeah, Iron Claws, I definitely want to see, and like I said, we kind of stream, binge watch, episodic television, and one we've been watching lately too also is Mayor of Kingstown.
That's one I want to start, Jimmy. They've been actually filming stuff here in Pittsburgh for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get on because I'm a huge Jeremy Renner fan, and all the other movies I like kind of fall on that ilk. So that's on my list.
Yeah. That's cool. That's interesting because season 1 was filmed up here.
No. Yeah, Baby Ice is saying Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon. Romeo saying Whitney Houston movie. Hijack is a sick show, Scott says. So we got Megan was wild. We also got.
I want to see Killers of the Flower Moon because I'm a huge Scorsese fan, but the damn thing is 3.5 hours.
That is 100% the reason I haven't seen that and Oppenheimer. I swear, anytime it goes over 2 hours, I'm just like, come on, guys.
And the review and the review, the non-spoiler reviews I'm reading for Killers of the Flower Moon, it's the same that I read before The Irishman, which was also 3 hours plus, which is like, I mean, like it's a good movie, but you watch it, you go, okay, easily an hour and a change could have been cut off from this, and we could have had a tighter, better movie.
Right.
Yeah, it's like Scorsese just has creative freedom, so we just nothing gets cut on the cutting room floor. Everything just stays.
Yeah. I always say, like, if it goes over 2 hours, it better be every single second you cannot touch. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like it better be absolutely mandatory every second once it goes over 2 hours. And I probably 4 times I've looked at Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm like, I just can't do it. I can't do that long of a movie. One day though. I'll say a series too, Jimmy. Last of Us, I think, was my favorite this year. I really enjoyed that.
Cool.
That series. But
hold on. You got to write that down. Last of Us.
The Last of Us. Yeah, it's a zombie movie show.
Okay.
It's not really. It's zombies, but it's not like a zombie. I don't know how to explain it, but it's. Okay. I loved it. Okay. In any case. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell won a tag team match. Chelsea and Piper won a tag team match. So after some good back and forth, they end up having a tag team match. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell get the win. And frankly, I love this because continued some issues with the ref for Chelsea. And Chelsea and Piper are going to be fine, even though they lost. But now we have yet another women's tag team building up a winning record. Jimmy, what were your thoughts on this whole scenario?
I thought it started off a little rough because the crowd tells you what you need to know. They were really quiet on this to begin the match, and they didn't feel like they were into it, but they eventually got the crowd into it. I'm kind of curious as to why the mentioning of the referee is an issue here, unless he's going to be involved in this in some form or fashion. I don't know if Eddie's going to be involved in it or not, but that's got me wondering. And also, I like the fact that they're highlighting the women's tag team division, but at least have the women look like tag teams. It felt like who was it? Like Chelsea and Candice were wearing similar, matching tights and should have been a team as opposed. You know what I mean?
That's such a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, I know it sounds nitpicky, but it's. No. A team should look like a team.
Separate music kills me too. Like just pick one. Pick one. If you're not going to mix them, just pick one of them and go with that. But Justin, what are your thoughts on how this all played out? And Jimmy, I was going to ask you about the ref being brought into the story, but I guess you already covered that.
Yeah. I mean, Jack, you kind of listed. I mean, there's some nice things on paper that's being done here, but the execution of this was this was not my favorite. This was probably one of my low points of the night.
I was wondering, do we know that, like, was everyone able to get there for the show tonight, or was there people missing in any way? Like, because I know the weather clearly was an issue, but I was just something throughout the show. I was wondering if they said, or if any news leaked of like so and so couldn't make it or something.
I don't know. I didn't hear any or read anything about that, but it's very possible because it does happen where weather does play a part. Where talent is supposed to be there, but because of weather issues, can't make it.
As far as I know, everybody that was planned to be. I mean, the only big name they didn't see was Punk, and he was not advertised to be there in the first place.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, we get some backstage segments with Damian Priest and the gang. First, Priest is upset about Truth selling merch until he gets a fat stack of cash. Then he's okay with it. But then he tells R-Truth not to tag into his match, and R-Truth doesn't get it. Later, there's some tension with the Judgment Day as Rhea wants to deal with Nia, and the group is learning that making money with R-Truth may be worth it. Of course, this led to a tag team match later, which we'll get into. But Jimmy, I was loving these segments because it was giving a reason for this oddball that no one likes to hang out with them. I felt like it was kind of like, actually, he's making us money. Maybe we should keep him around. Truth
is a treasure, man. He is nailing it. You know, you talk about the entertainment part of sports entertainment. R-Truth equals entertainment. Everything he does is like magic, and he's making me interested. And I know people are saying, oh, this is similar to the Bloodline storyline. No, this is different. This is not like Sami Zayn. This is completely different. And Truth is making me enjoy watching this. And that's supposed to be what's supposed to happen, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Justin, what I thought was cool about this too is it's kind of playing off of reality in the sense that R-Truth is very popular. I mean, I don't know how many shirts he's selling, but he has made the Judgment Day more interesting. So the idea of them selling shirts because of him is very believable, actually. So I kind of like that there is a little bit of truth in there with this. R-Truth.
Yeah, no, this is fun. And him, you know, he's still got his little earmuffs on. He's been out in the parking lot, and I love him giving a cut to Damian. I kind of wish Damian would have kept that whole he got a cut on the down low and kept everybody else out of it in Judgment Day. I thought that would have been the better way to go.
Yeah.
This was fun. It was fun.
If he was like, hey, Truth, just give me their cuts, I'll give it to him.
Yeah, I'll make sure they get, yeah.
I was just
because Truth would have believed him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just looking carefully at the bills that they were showing on TV and wanted to see if JBL was in any of the.
That would have been kind of a fun throwback, actually, if they did that. That was some fun stuff. But something that got really heated and something I loved was Gunther comes back. He officially declares for the Royal Rumble, and he's also actually really happy with Ludwig Kaiser. Taking out Kofi Kingston. Xavier Woods comes back. He's not happy about it, so he wants to fight Ludwig over it. Gunther actually just lets Ludwig respond. It's a brutal match. Xavier gets DQ'd, survives the post-match beatdown, but not the post-commercial break beatdown. And then Jey Uso steps in to stop him. Justin, a lot of stuff happened here. Walk me through it.
Well, great to see Gunther back. That's news that he is going to enter the Rumble because he still is Intercontinental Champion, and sometimes those things are separate. If you're IC Champion, you're put in a separate match from the Rumble, and you're not even in consideration. So that's a big deal. So we'll keep an eye on what that is. And then Gunther praising Kaiser. That makes sense. You know, last time we saw Gunther, the story in Imperium was he was kind of, telling Kaiser, Vinci, you guys need to step up. You need to get right. Vinci's out, it seems like, at least for whatever time. Hopefully he gets better and gets right. But, he's out for the temporary time. So it made sense. Praise Kaiser for the viciousness that he showed against Kofi and for what he's doing. Let's run with this Kaiser momentum. And then obviously it goes right into a match against Xavier Woods, which makes a ton of sense. And physical as well, resulted in some blood. And it's like, there's going into Rumble, it's mostly just subplots. Most of these individuals are all going to be part of the 30-man Rumble, but there's just all these little subplots of who's going to be a thorn in the other person's side and who has heat. It's just being done really well. This is some of the best pre-Rumble booking I can recall WWE doing.
Yep.
Like they're giving me so many just things to keep an eye out for in the Rumble match. It's awesome.
the way they're intertangling all this stuff, but still somehow keeping sense of it is brilliant. It looks like Dustin Ingles says that Truth was #1 last week in shirt sales. Beer Money saying that Gunther and Brock will have a moment in the Rumble. Gunther throws Brock out is the prediction, which I think a lot of us would like to see. But Jimmy, as someone said, this was also something I thought was a nice little note here, was MDB saying Jay coming to save Xavier makes sense since the Usos and New Day have a long history with each other. Makes a lot of sense there as well. But I think I love the fact that the Intercontinental Champion, someone as big as Gunther, is in the Rumble. I don't think a lot of us predict him to win it, but much to the, as everyone else is alluding to, now it's like, but who's going to throw him out? Who's going to be the one to get that next shot? Already daydreaming about that, but also Ludwig is looking like a monster here. Just lots of great stuff from this whole segment.
Absolutely. And like we said, like you guys said earlier, if Brock is the guy to come out and eliminate Gunther, what if it's the other way around?
Yeah.
Gunther eliminates Brock, or is that what you guys said? Gunther eliminates Brock and from the Rumble?
Well, at first we said Gunther eliminates Brock, but then it could be the other way. It could be Brock's the one that,
What if Brock is the one who eliminates Gunther, then now you have a build up to a match at WrestleMania between these two. And could Brock be the guy to finally end the longest Intercontinental Championship streak in WWE history? And if Gunther gets past Brock at WrestleMania, it just makes Gunther that much more elevated. Again, I keep using that word elevated, but man, what other word can you use?
Oh, if Gunther and Brock have a match at Mania, Brock's putting Gunther over.
Yeah.
What if we do this? If just off the top booking, Gunther eliminates Brock at the Rumble. We don't hear from Brock for a little bit. We decide to put the Intercontinental Championship on the line in the Elimination Chamber. Mid-chamber match, Brock comes out, wrecks Gunther, someone beats Gunther, and then Gunther wants the revenge at Mania, and now you have the IC title with someone else, and Gunther, Brock, not tied to a title, so Gunther can then move on to the world title afterwards.
I get what you're saying, but sorry, Justin, to cut you off, but for me, the story works better if the title is on the line at WrestleMania, and it makes Gunther that much more of a monster and looking more unbeatable.
That he goes into Mania as the champion, fights Brock, beats Brock, keeps going. And remember, later this year, they're doing a major premium live event in Berlin. Now, Gunther is technically from Austria, but it's right there, borders Germany. So I think Kaiser's from Germany even. So I think having Gunther go into that show still IC champion, that could be huge. He's either going into that show still IC champion, or he's going into that show challenging for a world title. One way or the other, that title's involved.
The home guy challenging for the title last time in Europe didn't work out that well. So I don't know if that's a good
yes, for some reason, guys don't do well in their hometowns.
But you know who might get that title before anyone else does is Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed says that someone who has held a title for a long time now a title that will soon belong to Bronson Reed. But he doesn't say who he's talking about. Justin, your guy, he could be talking about Roman. He could talk about Seth. He could be talking about Rhea Ripley. He could be talking about Gunther. Who's Bronson Reed talking about?
I don't know, because part of me leads myself to be Seth, because Seth has held a title for a long time, and Seth's a babyface, and Bronson's very much a heel. Bronson challenging Gunther, I just feel like that would be. I feel like Bronson challenging Gunther would be odd. However, after Rumble, Chamber is in Australia. Bronson Reed is Australian. So if Bronson Reed was to step up and challenge Gunther for the IC Championship at Chamber in Perth, Australia, Bronson Reed is going to be a stadium babyface favorite. So that would be the one place in the world where Bronson Reed could be big bad Bronson Reed and be cheered and go up against Gunther. And as we all just said, probably comes up short, but maybe not. Maybe they say, all right, we're gonna get the title off of Gunther before he goes to Mania to work a big marquee match against Brock. So there's options. But whatever it is, whatever Bronson Reed is doing, whoever he's challenging, I believe this sets up for Elimination Chamber because, again, he's Australian native, so that seems like the perfect place.
That makes sense. Jimmy, who do you think Gunther's the one, or do you think he might be eyeing the world title?
No, I think I'm thinking Gunther's the one because he was involved in that situation with him before with the rest of the contenders to become a contender for the IC championship. And Justin's idea is actually pretty good. The one thing, though, we talk about little things that you notice. Did you notice Bronson's attire tonight? It was a little different from what he was normally wearing. Obviously, it was more of a portrait shot. It wasn't a full body shot, but it looked like he was wearing a heck of a suit.
Yeah.
And that's a different look for him.
Yeah, he's referred to as a mob boss here in the chat. Let me see if I can find the person who said. I apologize. I think it went too far back for me to find it anytime soon. But yeah, someone referred to him as looking like a mob boss in this video. So,
but like Justin said, also he will be cheered big time in Australia, and it could translate over maybe to when he gets back to the U.S. I don't know. If it'll turn him babyface, so to speak, but at least in Australia, he would be a babyface.
So we move on to, I mean, come on, match of the night, biggest moment of the night. I mean, come on, who didn't jump out of their seats? Akira Tozawa versus Ivar, and with just an impressive display of athleticism and strength and heart, Akira Tozawa gets the win over Ivar. Guys, not too late to jump on the Akira Tozawa bandwagon. Unfortunately, after the match, Ivar beats him up pretty bad. And then after the break, Ivy Niles says she'll deal with Valhalla, and Chad Gable will handle Ivar. I'm going to tell you, Justin, I was so excited that he got the win here. I was so pumped about this. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think here?
Jack Farmer, a broken clock is right twice a day.
I thought there was no chance he was winning this thing. I was so excited.
Tozawa can't lose every match. I mean, look, this is fun for what it was. Good call on the post-match aggressive beatdown by Ivar and Valhalla. Now we're gonna get Valhalla in a match against Ivy Nile. For real though, if I'm Chad Gable, we've gushed over Chad Gable on this podcast for the last year. I've said it over and over. I think he's the perfect blend, love child of Kurt Angle and Owen Hart, both from the physical in ring to the comedic chops and to the size, the stature, and everything. If I'm Chad Gable, and I don't think he's this way at all. I think he's a tremendous human being. I'm kind of salty. Like, this whole thing is all on the gimmick of your, Alpha Academy and this and that, and all the shtick that you got over, the thank you and the positive messaging. Otis kind of ran with it a little bit, and that went out. Now Tozawa's the next one who's like, Chad Gable's just there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if I'm, again, I don't think he's like this at all. I think Chad Gable is a tremendous human being, but I'm speaking cynically as Justin LaBar.
Right.
if I'm Chad Gable's management, I'm telling Chad Gable, we got to fix this.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, but I also, and Jimmy, what your thoughts on this? Because obviously Chad Gable is the star of this group, right? And obviously he's great. I agree with Justin. This felt a little bit weird to me though, in that Akira Tozawa got a relatively clean win over Ivar. Yes, he got beat up afterwards, but he beat him. But then he was looking terrified of Ivar afterwards, and Chad Gable was like, "I'll show you. I'm going to beat him." I was like, "But Akira did that already." It felt like why is suddenly Akira scared of the guy he was not scared of a moment ago, and he beat a moment ago?
That's exactly the issue. Perception is reality. During the match, he stood up to him. He didn't back down.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like afterwards, after he got the beat down and the what's it called? The top rope power
The
bomb
Doom
salt,
Salt.
whatever. The Doom Salt. There you go. The
Doom
power
Salt
bomb
is what I call pepper.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That doesn't. You talk about making sense. It didn't make sense to me. And yes, we gush over Chad Gable all the time on this show when we put him over huge. I just feel that if next week he doesn't go over, then what? You're making look. R-Truth is a different animal. Let's put it this way. And I'm giving Akira Tozawa his props for what he was doing for the 24/7 division, but I don't know in this situation here if it'll help Chad Gable to face someone like an Ivar and lose. And Ivar didn't get any help with this either. Still that perception where he lost to
Akira.
the guy to Akira. Yes.
And Justin, to double back on that, I feel like Chad Gable's kind of in a situation. I feel like if he loses, like he's got to be able to beat the guy that Akira just beat, right? But if he wins, it's also like Akira just beat this guy. It's kind of a weird. Yeah. I feel like it's a weird situation for him. To your point earlier,
Chad Gable needs to get off Raw. He's trapped on Raw. They took him to the limit of being the guy that I thought for a minute might take the title from Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, God, Chad Gable had his kids in the front row. Like, I mean, they had everything set up, WWE documentary style, for him to win this damn thing. That didn't happen. He's not beating Seth Rollins right now. Like, he needs to get off of Raw. He needs to get to SmackDown. Fresh opponents, fresh situation. Maybe has a run for the U.S. title in 2024, depending on who has that when we come out of Mania. He needs to get off of Raw because he's trapped.
Yeah. We move on, and Rhea Ripley comes out to address her division, and she says that she still runs this thing. Becky Lynch comes out, and she compares their journeys to getting to this spot. Becky says she thinks Rhea might be better than her, but Becky needs to prove she's not. So she needs to win the Rumble and then eventually beat Rhea Ripley. Jimmy, something we talk about on other programs is when certain things feel like they're similar to other things that happen on the show. I thought this was a good promo on its own. I really enjoyed it. Did feel a little bit like the same thing Drew and Cody were saying earlier in the night, though. What are your thoughts?
No, you're reading my mind here. It just felt too similar. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Like, oh, hey, we both gone down the same path, but and that sort of thing, and but there are differences, and that's exactly what they were saying in the opening segment as well. And the not having a physical interaction is fine, but again, it's similar to like what we saw in the opening promo. To your point, and as much as I want to see this match, they didn't entice me to want to see it more.
Yeah.
After this promo, that segment, you want to draw people in. You've already got people who want to see this match, and I'm one of them. But you didn't get me more excited to see this match.
Yeah, and like I said, the bummer to me is I thought it was good. If the opening segment didn't happen, this was it. I'd be like, oh, this was a pretty cool promo. But Justin, the other thing that kind of ruffled my feathers a bit is I felt like this really undercut Nia Jax versus Rhea Ripley at Royal Rumble.
This undercut every possible scenario you have in the women's division right now. I love Rhea Ripley. I I can do an entire podcast of all the things I like about her and why she is. I love Rhea Ripley. I don't mind her coming out kind of having like the State of the Union address of where the women's division's at.
Mm-hmm.
You want her to do that? Okay. You want her to then be interrupted? You can't just be a excuse me, sorry. You can't just be her come out and just say that. If you want her to be interrupted or be challenged, have 2, 3, 4, 5 ladies come out. One from the entranceway, one from the crowd, one on the Titantron. All just to remind you that Rhea Ripley is the hunted in a very aggressive women's division right now.
Mm-hmm.
But to have her just be interrupted by Becky and to give all of us that little bit of tease of like, ooh, what if this is our Mania match? I don't like it because I feel like right now you've told me not to care about anything else. And Nia Jax, they got some momentum with Nia Jax right now.
Yep. And
there's a lot of other women. I feel like they gave us too much tonight. They basically told us, this is your Mania match. We're just dangling out there just to hear you guys react a little bit. I don't like it because now it has took me out of what Nia is doing. It has took me out of any other scenario of another woman. I didn't like it. I did not think it was necessary for January 15th Raw.
Yeah. I also thought it was a little silly because I'm a Becky Lynch hater on this show. I gotta say, I thought it was a little silly. She was like, the difference between us is we both won the Royal Rumble, but I went on to main event WrestleMania and you didn't. I was thinking, she won the title at WrestleMania. I mean, are we really like feel like we're splitting hairs here, Becky? But that's just because I always got to give Becky a hard time. We got a super chat here for you though, Jimmy. Jake Alliner says, "Hi Jimmy, just stumbled upon this. Been listening to your wrestling analysis since your Fight Network days with Pollock. Keep up the great work, guys." So,
oh, thank you, Jake. I very much appreciate it. And yeah, John Pollock, longtime buddy of mine. That thanks for the shout out to him too, as well.
So we got the awesome Truth versus Judgment Day moment. R-Truth is in the 3D graphic, fellas. So he is officially a part of the group. Someone had to make this 3D graphic. I love it. Truth gives everyone their cut of the money before Finn attacks Truth. This time, Truth gets confused about whose team he's on, but it costs him, and he doesn't get away with it. With Damian Priest looking concerned before he does the move. Jimmy, I see you acknowledging that. I thought that was an interesting, subtle thing there that maybe Priest felt a little bad.
No, I think you saw and like you said, it was subtle. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't like, oh man, I hate this. I don't want to do this. You saw that he expressed a little concern with having to do what he needed to do to Truth, and you could see he felt bad about it. Yeah, especially after the choke slam for going into the finish. You saw there was a little bit of that, oh man, I hated to do it, but I had to do it kind of thing, and that's what made it work.
Yep.
That's what made it work. And of course, like we said, R-Truth throughout the match with, and Miz, again, one of the most underappreciated guys on the roster as far as the fans go, not from The Office. The Office loves the guy, but, also made this work. But like you said, the little subtleties of Damian Priest, feeling terrible about doing what he had to do to Truth was what made this.
Yeah, Justin, I want your thoughts on this. I want your thoughts on that beautiful 3D graphic as well. But are we seeing maybe a change in Damian Priest?
I think it's just no. I think it's just short term. It's relevant to the R-Truth factor, which again I think is all just kind of buying time. I don't think they're going to say, I don't think creative's going to go, you know what? This R-Truth thing's working so well. Judgment Day, you got 6 more months. I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're just kind of buying time. And again, subplot for the Rumble. I thought of Jimmy because I was fantasy booking this as it happened, and they didn't do it, but I thought of Jimmy. Imagine if it was him out there. As Truth is giving people in the ring their cuts. And of course, JD's the one who doesn't get a cut because he's not part of the group or on the shirt.
Where are you going?
I would have thought it'd been great if he took a cut and gave it to the referee and stuck it in the referee's pocket. As if he's paying the referee off.
No, my goodness.
And made the referee have to try to sell it.
By the way, just for anybody who remembers way back when Kane grabbed Drew Carey by the throat and he dropped all that money, I did put it in my pocket temporarily. I gave it back.
Was it real money? Was it real money or was it a gimmick?
No, that was money.
Real money.
Yes, yeah, it was.
All right, so Jimmy, pull the curtain back, because I know that there's prop masters. I know there was a magic man. I know there's people that would handle stuff like that.
Right.
Back in your day when you're there.
Right.
Why real money? Who's making that call? And where are we getting the real money from?
I wish I knew, because I thought it would be the gimmick money, as like you said. But when I grabbed it, I kind of like right away I went, oh, I better put this away. And when I went to the back, you could tell the eyes were there. I just pulled it out right away and just went right to Gerald.
Like does Vince have a petty cash can in his office and he just pulls that out? He's got $5,000 just petty cash for the night. And
I guess they got it from the box office, in advance from the.
Jimmy, you could have kept a little bit of it.
I like to imagine Vince McMahon has a fat roll of cash with a rubber band around it in his pocket at all times. I just like to think that that's
Jimmy. You should have kept it. You're too upstanding of an individual. You should have kept it.
Nah, it's not the Canadian thing to do.
I mean, you should have kept a couple of them. I mean, they probably don't know how much it was.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't know it was real.
Just hope for the best. That's what you say when you don't give it back. Is I didn't know it was real, so I just held on to it.
Yeah, ask for forgiveness. Easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. Yeah. Just.
It's like, oh yeah, it's in my pocket. I'm sorry about that.
It's the Rumble. It's a Rumble. It's a long night. Just stuff it in your pocket. They never notice.
In the real world, it's easier to ask for forgiveness and permission, but in the pro wrestling world, it's kind of like a different little animal.
True, you would have been taken to wrestler's court actually if you would have stole the.
And that would have been worse. Yes, trust me.
No, that would have been hilarious.
Yeah, that's the story I want to hear. Jimmy.
Because then the amount of petty cash you then try to steal, you would have had to buy Taker, that, and Jack. That amount of Jack Daniels.
and take care of the prosecuting attorney too, JBL.
Yeah.
Well, Shinsuke declares himself for the Rumble. Not sure if there's a whole lot to pull from that, but he'll be in it. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark defeat Tegan Knox. Is a match set up earlier. After a conversation with the tag team champions. My main takeaway from this, Justin, was that they're actually starting to build quite a bit of a women's tag team division here. They had 5 different teams on TV at some point tonight.
They're trying, but to Jimmy's point earlier, it's a pet peeve of mine. I got a certain amount of wrestling pet peeves that I can let off. But one of my pet peeves is, and you said it too, Jack, unless the gimmick is you are strange bedfellows that aren't supposed to be tag team together and you're having to try to coexist, don't come out to different music. Don't come out in different ring attire. Get your shit straight. Get some matching ring attire. Get some color coordinated stuff. And so they are trying to present more teams, but I still don't I still don't feel completely sold on all the teams yet.
Yeah.
I agree. They're trying.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you can do is try. Give it TV time, but
especially the ones that, like, when you have someone like Natalya who's so established as a wrestler, having someone with her, like, you got to really lean into she's in a tag team now because she's such a established person on her own. She's been in tag teams,
which I still don't understand. I know Natalya. I know that she is probably on the final years of her career, and she looks in great shape. This is not me trying to write her off to retirement, but I think she's like 40 or in her 40s. So I mean, she's just been doing it for so long that then she's earned her money. I would think that she's on the back end. And that she does not frustrate me. The treatment of her is frustrating me because I'm like, here's Natalya, your ultimate company woman, your ultimate company person, who is a descendant from the Hart family, who is very good in the ring, who has all the things. She can be heel, she can be face, she can do media. She's done media for you. She can do reality. If I'm starting a wrestling company tomorrow, I'm booking her as a cornerstone part of my women's division. Yeah, she might not be around 10 years from now, but I'm booking her as a cornerstone to get it off the ground and get some girls made. I don't understand. I never understand why she is booked as so disposable. I don't understand that.
Yeah, she could be one of the pillars in that division for the title. Jimmy, any thoughts on this match? I mean, it looks like it was a de facto number 1 contender match the way they set it up. So probably Baszler Stark versus Katana and Carter down the road.
Again, so not to sound very much like I did earlier in the show, the crowd told you everything you needed to know. They got him a little bit in this match, but for the most part, you can tell that they weren't into it.
No,
they weren't buying into it. And I love the fact that they're trying to build up this division. I really do, but it just get me invested in the teams and get, as I said earlier, at least make the teams look like teams.
Yeah.
as opposed to two ladies thrown together.
Yeah, it's just matching gear and a single song for them to come out to does wonders. Tag team names really do wonders if you can find something for them. But we get to the main event, and it's Seth Rollins, Jinder Mahal. Both have promos before the match. Indus comes out with Jinder. Priest comes out with the briefcase. Drew comes out to stop Priest. Indus gets involved, but it's no good. Seth Rollins gets the win. Justin, right off the top, I think it was so smart having Indus come out there and help Jinder, because I kind of feel like over the past week, for a couple of reasons, people were kind of behind Jinder Mahal tonight going into it.
Well, especially with off the social media stuff that happened this past week with Jinder and Tony Khan, and
right,
maybe maybe that is a contributing factor. I also, I had asked last week. I asked you, I was like, is Indus done?
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought it was a nice little touch that, like, we got the promo backstage with Jinder by himself, and then Jinder comes out by himself, but then Indus comes out and flanks him. It's like, he's got backup, he's got strength in numbers. I thought it was a nice, again, stack the odds to Seth Rollins, and then never mind Damian Priest later coming out. Look, this match was what it was. It was the main event of Raw. Nobody's betting any money that Jinder Mahal's winning this. At most, he's winning it, or he's a major foil and Priest cashes in. That's the most crazy thing you're watching for. That doesn't happen. Priest ends up fighting off with McIntyre. But all that said, and all the big brain that I got here of all my booking and that final sequence, they had me leaning in.
Mm-hmm.
Jinder hit a few moves, hit a few pins. Ref's not looking. I lean in, going, no, and it wasn't. But that's all I can ask for. They kept me in it. So that was cool. And real quick, before Jimmy goes, I don't know. Rollins had a sequence where he hit two moves. He had a springboard front flip gimmick onto Jinder, and then ran to the other side of the ropes and hit like a Chris Jericho lion moonsault. When he came down, he started selling his left knee. Yeah. Now, where that was in the match, that's pretty late in the match to all of a sudden open up a story in the match of a body part injury. Mm-hmm. And then Jinder did not follow up on like attacking said knee. So what? Right. So. And the way it was sold too was not like maybe an over the top sell to the last seat in the house. Mm-hmm. It was kind of subtly sold to where we can see front row VR television sets. He's in some pain. He's cussing to the ref. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened. I hope he's okay. But I did look at his left knee. He landed on that he landed on that moonsault to the point of where his upper body hit Jinder, but his left knee just slammed down on the mat. Mm-hmm. And he was kind of holding that left knee, and I just hope that he's okay, because he struggled a bit through the rest of the match.
No.
Doing a quick sorry to interrupt you. A quick Twitter scan, it looks like there are some places saying it's he legitimately got hurt. Now, I don't like to talk about injuries without knowing because I without seeing like the source, being able to check the source and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, but it does look like maybe there may have been something there.
It definitely did look like it to me, anyway.
But that said, Jimmy, Goodfella 1422 said was hoping to see the Bollywood Boys tonight too. Look, and Jimmy, I'm using this as a segue to you because I'm a big Bollywood Boys fan. I want them on every episode of Raw. They're so much fun. I'm a big fan. I know you are too.
They're my boys, man. They're my boys.
They're incredible. But Jimmy, I thought. I always say the thing about wrestling, so much of pro wrestling, we kind of know what's going to happen. It's a lot of it isn't that predictable. So I always say it's just that if you just get that like 5% of us going, like Jinder's not going to win, is he? Rollins isn't losing the title tonight, is he? And like with Priest out there, with Jinder out there, all those things, like Justin was saying, I feel like they did a great job of building up just enough of that
doubt,
right?
Yes, I thought so because as Justin was talking, I'm thinking like, is he looking at my notepad here? Can he read my writing over here? Because like you said, going into this match, did anybody believe that Jinder Mahal was going to win the championship and beat Seth Rollins? No. But when they added a few layers, they brought out Damian Priest with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and they did that, especially a couple of false finishes where they got the crowd. And the one after, especially with the ref distraction and the shot with the Money in the Bank briefcase, people actually thought that was it. And at one point, I thought, oh, here we go. And then, there was the kick out, and I was like, now that's a good false finish. But as far as the injury goes, too, that's the other thing. I don't know if anybody noticed, hats off to the referees for keeping, Chad Patton in this case, for keeping an eye on. But at the end of the match, after the pinfall, I don't know if I thought it looked like Seth was motioning to Chad, like doing this, like no, that's it. Like there was supposed to be some aftermath, and Seth kind of like called it off. I don't know if anybody else noticed that.
I did not notice that. That's interesting. That's why we have you on the show, Jimmy. What a great catch. Well, hopefully Seth's okay. I mean, whatever the case is, I guess we'll stay tuned for that information. But I thought this was you had some highs and lows. I thought this was overall pretty interesting. I felt like this wasn't a big 4 pay-per-view type Monday Night Raw, but it was like a B show. Like this was a lot more interesting, exciting than I think it looked like it was going to be based on what the card looked like, if that makes sense. As we kind of wrap things up, Justin, what were your overall thoughts of the show, and where can the world find you online?
It was an okay show, but again, I knew what I was going into. We're 2 weeks out from Rumble. They're up against NFL playoffs, the last Monday night NFL playoff game they'll go against. Because from this point on, all NFL playoffs is Saturday, Sunday. So the last Monday night competition they're going to go against the NFL. So I figured that's like, okay, this is going to be not a secondary effort, but any other big guns they have to deliver is going to be next week on the go home prior to Rumble. Hence CM Punk being advertised to confront Cody Rhodes, and boy, what could that sound like? I thought it was an okay show. It was what it was. The overall thing, I'll compliment them on. Like I said, there's some matches and some tag teams, some things. I was like, I just didn't work. But the overall compliment is we're heading to the Rumble. The primary focus of the Rumble is the 30-man match or the 30-woman match. But the women's, like I said, it's kind of irked me tonight. But the 30-man, there's just tons of subplots, tons of things to be looking out for. That's going to make for a very interesting match. And then whoever wins can make for a very interesting result. And then we're already booking Elimination Chamber based upon some scenarios, based upon promos like Bronson Reed. So good stuff.
Yep. Jimmy, how about yourself? Where can the world find you? And what did you think of the show overall?
I thought it was okay. Like you guys said, it had its ups and downs. And there were when the most entertaining thing to me throughout the night was R-Truth. That speaks volumes. Yes, I was interested in other stuff that was going on, and the opening promo segment was one of them. I thought it was really good. Could have been a little bit shorter. They didn't need to go as long as they did, because they really did nail what they wanted to accomplish in that. But other than that, I thought the show was okay. Let's put it that way. They got next week the go home show to really hopefully get, put that last little to people to want to watch the Royal Rumble. And you can catch me here on Monday nights. Triple J, catch me Wednesday nights after the AEW Dynamite show, doing a recap there. And, on the Roughing It Up podcast with my good brother in stripes, Brian Hebner, and RJ, who holds it together. Unfortunately, this week, I won't be able to make the podcast due to some stuff I need to take care of. But other than that, I will be back on the show next week. And, of course, you can catch my Ref and Rants daily from Monday to Friday. And so far as 2024 has been, I've been keeping it positive. Eventually, I'll get to my critiquing, but I'm keeping it positive. For as long as I can, at least, anyways.
Jimmy's not going to be on that episode because he's taking a phone call for the Hall of Fame. My sources tell me. So that's why he won't be there. I'm very reliably sourced. I make it up, but sometimes, as mentioned earlier, a broke clock is right twice a day, right? But that does it for us. Thank you everyone for joining. MDB, large and long shaft in the chat. Tommy O, Ricky Zaldivar, Dream Realm Studios, Jeff Bailey, everyone else. Thanks so much for joining us. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And of course, make sure to check out at Wrestling Inc. for all your news, and check out the After NXT show, which will air tomorrow right after NXT. Until then, I don't know.